and then we feel guilty. But then the problem is, then the guilt leads to more emotional reactions, leads to more bad actions, leads to more or harmful actions, leads to more guilt. And that creates this cycle that is just overwhelming sometimes. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Jesse. If we haven't met, I use over 17 years of classroom teaching experience, plus my own personal development work and coaching work to help parents really make parenting easier and fun. And today, this is a message that really speaks to my heart, because this isn't a case of maybe breaking generational cycles, but this person has no real role models to pattern themselves after. So they're almost creating a pattern and a cycle, so with no real blueprint. So let's take a look at this and see if we can help them and see if we can help you. Let's go. Hello, I have no good adult role models in my life and no friends with kids. Okay, so the first thing we see is like, they're probably on an island. You know, parenting, it can feel alone sometimes. It can, especially in this case. I have no good adult role models. Okay, maybe they had an adult role model, but maybe not a positive one, right? How do I respond to toddler meltdowns? I feel super guilty. I have a 19-month-old. Okay, this is the thing that we're going to address mostly today. I have a course that I made, a workshop called Managing and Releasing Parenting Guilt, but because that is so important, we end up getting in this cycle, not even our cultural generational cycles, but our own personal cycles of losing our cool, and then we react emotionally, and then we, blow up, we treat our children bad, or we, make a mistake, and then we feel guilty. But then the problem is, then the guilt leads to more emotional reactions, leads to more bad actions, leads to more or harmful actions, leads to more guilt. And that creates this cycle that is just overwhelming sometimes, right? And I want to acknowledge this person. I want to acknowledge you for choosing to be the example that you didn't have. I want to acknowledge you and I want you to acknowledge yourself. That's the first thing, right? I want you to acknowledge yourself for making this choice, for not only for your child, but for your partner, if you have a partner, for yourself, for those around you, for your life, for your child's future. You are becoming a trailblazer. And I don't want you to take that lightly. Anyone watching that is in the same position, you want to create the positive environment that you didn't have. Give yourself a pat on the back. Appreciate yourself. And I don't mean just like, oh yeah, that's nice, but like really sit and think about it. What am I doing? I am creating something that I didn't have. And that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Okay. We're doing X first and then X. Well, you probably could say Y. Sorry, my teacher, brain comes out. We're doing X first and then X. We are describing what is about to happen and prepare. Example, we're going home now, so we will get in the pram, and I see you're British. We get home and it's time for milk and a nap. Sometimes it works. She's like, yeah, let's go. Other times, okay. She might be resting or going in the pram, or we are gentle, but strap her in anyways. One thing about this, something that really helped me in these cases, because sometimes, yeah, you've got to like physically maneuver them, right? And this is something a lot of like, first, this gentle parenting, I'm not a fan of the term gentle parenting at all. I don't like it. And I don't think it's helpful for many people, because gentle parenting, people view gentle parenting as a thing. I'm trying to gentle parent. But the problem with saying that is we don't know what gentle parenting is. It's not a real thing. So, like, that's like saying, I'm trying to live healthy. Like, but what does that mean? Does it mean you're eating vegetables? Does it mean you're not eating processed sugar? Does it mean you're drinking 8 glasses of water a day? Does it mean you're going to the gym? Like, what does that mean? I'm trying to live healthy and trying, right? So anytime you put that force, I'm trying to, there's going to be resistance. Think about it like if you meet somebody and you know their name, but you forget their name. When you're trying to roll through that Rolodex in your mind and you're trying to think of their name, it's not going to come. Thinking of a song title, oh, what is it? What is that? And you try, it doesn't come, right? So it's the same kind of thing. So the gentle parenting, it's a cool concept, but it misses the mark because it's so abstract. It's not a real thing, right? It's more like, what are you conscious of? Are you conscious of the actions that you take and why you're doing them, right? And it seems like you are, but the objective is to become conscious of it in real time, right? That's what the objective to me is, right? So this gentle parenting, and another thing, gentle parenting, it's not very masculine. Like, we need more fathers on board with being parent leaders, and they're just not gonna come if we have this thing called gentle parenting and pretend it's a thing. But that's a rant. Okay, anyway, jujitsu might be something cool to do if you haven't already. That way I could put her in, hold her in with my elbow while I and with her flailing, or him, I have 2 kids, and buckle the seatbelt, all while being gentle. So I get what you're saying, and that's cool. Other times she wants something, but we aren't wanting her to have it. Example, she wants to give her food to her dog and he can't eat it. Cue meltdown. Okay, that's cool that you're aware of this. I just try to talk gently, saying the dog can't eat and that's her food, and try to get her to interact with him in another way. Okay, so when you're thinking clearly, I don't say that there's a problem, right? You're doing this, you're taking the steps. And then I'm sure that once it persists, we all have our limits. And once you reach your limit, then that's when the triggers happen. That's the part that I'm going to give you some action steps here in a minute, but that's the part, right? When we reach our limit, that's when the real conscious parenting comes in, right? Sometimes she's in tears, big sad face. I know that toddlers cry, it's normal, but I feel so crap and worry that I am doing what my parents did a bit, which is ignore and withdrawal of, oh, okay. So it was more of a case of that, ignore. Okay, interesting. What do you do when a toddler cries? Talk gently as she cries? Should I talk to her after, try to mend? Currently, we don't talk about it after. My husband comes from an authoritarian family, so he has no insight. Absolutely. We're going to cross that off. You absolutely want to bring it up. I mean, for 2 reasons. You want to bring this up. You don't want to just let like an episode of ignoring or a meltdown or you getting upset and storming off or whatever it looks like. You don't want to leave that hanging out for 2 main reasons. One, our childhood trauma comes from both what happened to us as children, but also how we interpreted it, right? So it could be something as simple as you're talking when you're maybe 8 years old and you're talking with your cousins and you chime into the conversation and maybe an older cousin says, shut up, nobody wants to hear from you. Then you could interpret that as my voice doesn't matter. And then you go into this, like, that forms your identity. So it's not only what happens to us, it's how we interpret what happened. So by not talking about what happened, You are giving up control. You are letting her interpretation of what happened go to chance. How's she going to interpret this in her little mind? Right. So that's the first thing. You want to take control and be like, hey, listen, I love you. You know, you have to eat. We want you to eat. Think about the result. We want you to eat because we want you to be strong. We want you to grow big. You're doing very well. And I love that you want to share your food with a dog. And maybe we can figure that out. Right. And she's only 19 months, but you can talk to her. Right. And we can figure that out. Maybe take like some dog treats, put it next to her bowl so she can distinguish what is the dog's food and then what's her food, and they eat together. Something like that might work. But the second reason you want to definitely talk about it is like my family didn't have a big talking culture. We're not very close. We don't really talk about things. Like that's not what we do. And that's very common. I hear that a lot. And that's something I didn't want for my family, for my kids and me. So anytime you can open up the lines of communication, the better. So that's another thing. Open up the lines of communication in your family culture, because you're creating a family culture. You're creating a family legacy. You're creating a culture that you want for your family. And we want a culture of communication. My husband comes from an authoritarian family, so he has no insight. And I mean, congratulations to him. It sounds like he's kind of on board, and I hope he's on board. And with breaking these cycles, these authoritarian cycles, these punishment cycles, these ignoring cycles, right? So here's the thing, you feel so crap. I gave some ideas to try as far as like the mealtime, try those. And as far as the guilt, step one, understand that we're human. You're a human and you need forgiveness. You need love. You need grace. But you know who you need that from? You need that from you. So show yourself love. You know that little girl that's inside of you that didn't have an adult role model? She's still there. She's still inside of you, and she still needs an adult role model. Be that adult role model for her first. Once you do that, doing it for your daughter will be so much easier. I do have some tools to help with this. If you want, then contact me, reach out, or below I'll post some resources below as well in the comments and in the description. Because like I said before, this feeling so crap, what happens is we feel guilty, and then that will cause emotional reactions to happen even more, and then that will cause even more guilt, and that cycle is really hard to get out of. And that sounds like that's what you're beginning to get into, right? So and I just worry that I'm doing what my parents did a bit. And here is the thing, step two, don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what you do want. Focus on the parent that you want to become rather than in the rearview mirror what you don't want to become. So if you're a skier or anything, like I'm not a skier, but like I have before, but the ski instructor, they will tell you, don't even look at the trees. There are trees and bushes, and they'll say, don't even look at them because those are obstacles. And what we look at, we're going to gravitate towards, right? So they'll say, don't even look at the trees, look at where you want to go. Also, if you want to do a little experiment, do this. Take a piece of paper and a pen and draw 1 point on the left side, 1 point on the right side, and draw a straight line. And do that twice. Do that once by looking at the pen and see how straight your line looks and see if you even get to the other dot. And then do it another time and just look at the other dot and bring your pen to the dot. We want to look at what we want to focus on what we want to become. We don't want to focus on the past and what we don't want to repeat. Does that make sense? So number one, show yourself grace. Attend to the little girl inside of you. Number two, focus on what you do want to become and the family culture that you do want to create. And then number three, enjoy this time. Separate emotionally. See if you can find any humor in her sharing her food with the dog. It's got to be super cute. Objectively speaking, if you saw another child, 19 months, sharing her food with a dog, at another table in a restaurant or something like that, you'd probably think that was super cute, right? But you can't see it right now because you feel this pressure that you want to be the perfect mother and you want to, like, you want her to eat perfectly. Like, I've done that too. You know what I mean? So I hope these helped. I'd love to talk to you if anybody is facing something similar, but you've got this. You can do this. Show yourself grace, show yourself love, give your little girl a hug, give your husband a group family hug, and you've got this. All right, guys, thank you. See you in the next one.